For most of us, this old Toyota Land Cruiser is the definition of a traditional ute. It's utilitarian, it's made for work, and it's tough as nails, a lot like the guys and girls who drive these vehicles. This one has just rolled over 730,000 kilometres. Just run in, really. Now this is the definition of a work ute, but in today's new car market, the humble utility is so much more. They're recreational vehicles and increasingly they are family chariots as well. And these two are the leaders of the pack, the Ford Ranger Raptor and the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. Two coil-sprung, high-end recreational utes with price tags to match. So, which one's best? Australia's infatuation with the humble ute has gone into overdrive in recent years. The Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger are the two top-selling new vehicles nationally, loved by tradies, weekend warriors and families alike. Now we're witnessing the emergence of a new brand of ute, high-end dual cabs promising equal measures of off-road ability and luxury wares. The Ford Ranger Raptor and Jeep Gladiator Rubicon both start at just under $80,000 before on-road costs, foregoing some payload and towing ability in order to fulfill their briefs. We'll start with the Ford Ranger Raptor. Now yes, it does share a lot of common parts with the garden variety Ranger donor car, but it also benefits from extensive modifications. A wider track, a Watts Link live rear axle with coil-over Fox shocks, plus disc brakes at all four corners. This thing looks like it's ready to tackle the Baja, and that's because it virtually is. There is no mistaking it, the Ranger Raptor is made for off-roading. We'll get to the slower, gnarlier stuff in a moment, but even on high-speed sections of dirt, it is remarkably well tied down. It just chews up corrugations, and there's meaningful weighting to all the controls. It feels so pointed and agile when it needs to be, but it's not affected by big undulations in the road either. A really convincing package, and one that is reaffirmed by an excellent stability control suite and great chassis feel and feedback as well. All of that underbody bracing has imposed a significant weight penalty, with the Ranger Raptor tipping the scales at just over 2,300 kilograms. But there is ample firepower in the form of a 2-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder. If I'm honest, the diesel engine isn't the fiery, explosive powertrain that many Ranger Raptor buyers might demand, but it does get the job done, working well with the quick-thinking 10-speed automatic transmission and making its power and torque at fairly accessible points of the rev count. It's quite refined and efficient as well. We've managed about 9.5 litres per 100 Ks in a mix of conditions that have included off-road and highway driving. Compared with the regular dual cab ute set, the engine is quite refined and muted inside the cabin as well. It's definitely not the highlight of the Ranger Raptor, but it does get the job done. Venturing away from the beaten track, the Raptor offers a higher 850mm water wading depth in this comparison, as well as a superior breakover angle. It takes the win in terms of high-speed off-road stability, but is also well versed when the going gets tough, offering hill descent control and a locking rear diff. On-road, meanwhile, the Ranger is the quieter, more refined and more civilised of these two. The coil-sprung rear end is well controlled over bumps, and tyre noise from the BF Goodrich rubber is more subdued. In equipment terms, the Ranger foregoes front parking sensors, automatic park assist and adaptive cruise control. Significant omissions given the lofty purchase price. In a similar vein, the interior is nicely thought out, with deeply bolstered bucket seats up front, suede inserts and splashes of colour throughout the cabin. But there's no doubting that a lot of the developed money has been spent on the componentry underneath. So as such, there are some cheaper materials throughout and no rear air vents. With that said though, I do like the installation of the different power points, including a household point in the back seat, and the infotainment system, while not perfect, is livable and easy enough for day-to-day driving. Ford Ranger Raptor not quite macho enough for you? Well, maybe the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon might be more your style. Based on the legendary Jeep Wrangler, the Gladiator stretches nearly 5.6 metres long and is ready for off-roading duties as well. Fox shocks front and rear, 4-disc brakes at all corners, a forward-facing off-road camera, a disconnecting front sway bar and locking diffs front and rear. This thing is ready for any kind of beaten track. With its huge dimensions and significant underbody componentry, the Gladiator Rubicon is quite a departure from your regular dual cab ute. It's got a massive 13.6 metre turning circle, approximate steering and plenty of road noise to contend with as well. But even when you put all those elements together, I've got to be honest, it's a really endearing and quite refreshing change from a regular dual cab. It's got a lot of character and I've really enjoyed driving it. On high-speed sections of bitumen, the Gladiator Rubicon acquits itself quite well. It's tied down, it's controlled over extended sections of corrugations, and even mid-corner bumps or sections of mud don't really pose any huge challenges to the quick-thinking electronics suite. It doesn't quite impart that same intimate level of feeling and feedback as the Ranger Raptor. The steering doesn't quite have the same meaningful weighting, and the body feels a bit larger than the Ranger as well. But all in all, it's a really good accomplice on a dirt road, and it gets even better when the going gets tough. The Gladiator pays for its size in the bush, with its low-slung belly and exposed steering dampener imposing a breakover angle of 18.4 degrees compared with the Ranger's 24 degrees. It also feels its length in tighter scenarios. But those front and rear locking diffs and disconnecting front sway bar are all pluses, as is its stronger light construction BF Goodrich rubber, which is slightly more resistant to punctures. One bone of contention is the absence of diesel power, with a solitary 3.6 litre naturally aspirated V6 petrol doing duty across the Gladiator range. In isolation, the petrol engine gets the job done quite admirably. It makes usable power down low in the rev range, and it's fairly inoffensive in the way that it goes about its business, working well with the 8-speed automatic transmission. The power curve is a little bit peaky. You've really got to work towards the upper echelons of the rev range to really find meaningful power from the Rubicon, and you'll also notice quite a significant fuel bill if you do choose to explore those upper reaches. With that said, we've averaged over several thousand kilometres of testing, and the engine really has been quite faultless during that time. Of these two utes, the Gladiator Rubicon does tend to feel weight a little bit more prominently in the back or if you're towing, but if you're unladen most of the time, it gets the job done. The Jeep's petrol engine cannot match the straight line performance of the Rangers, but there is merit in the V6's accessibility both on and off-road. The Gladiator's 3-star safety rating is one detraction, as is the constant question mark of reliability. All we can say is that we've put over 5,000 kilometres on this particular vehicle and it hasn't put a wheel wrong. More than anything, the Gladiator Rubicon is simply fun. There's a great retro theme inside, borrowed from the Wrangler, and just like that car, you can completely remove the doors, front windscreen, or the roof. Now there is a nice hard-wearing premise to the interior with hose-out rubber flooring and great hard-wearing materials as well. But in saying that, it's still comfortable and trendy enough as well, with a really nice center screen and a digital display within the instrument cluster. My major gripes are the narrow driver's footwell and the general lack of odds and ends storage, but it's a really nicely acquitted interior. And there's even auxiliary plugs here set up for the future installation of fridges, radios and electronics. Both the Gladiator and Ranger are covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Over a 5-year service plan, the Gladiator undercuts the Ranger on price, but requires slightly shorter 12,000 kilometre servicing intervals. In load carrying terms, the Ranger feels the slightly more stable and sure-footed of these two, even withstanding its reduced capacities. The truth is that both the Ford Ranger Raptor and the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon should be celebrated because they have changed the very definition of the humble utility. As far as a winner goes, you could easily justify both. If your preferences tend more towards extroverted party bus, well then the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon is definitely your go. But if you want a ute that is civilised both on-road and off-road and does the daily duties just that little bit better, then the Ford Ranger Raptor has to be the winner.